Welcome back to the real estate circuit, builders, brokers, and beyond. I'm your host, Kim Mashik, a mortgage broker in the area as well as multiple other states rather than just Colorado. Today I have on the show with me Anthony Navarro from New York Life.
How are you?
Good to have you on. Well, Anthony, tell us a little bit about yourself before we get rolling.
Yeah, I moved to Colorado in 1990 to go to nursing school, and I did get my nursing degree at UNC. Very, very challenging school, but was able to get through that. Got a minor in mycology and also in human rehab. It was actually during that time that I started thinking about opening my own business. My dad was an entrepreneur, and at one point when I was working at Children's, I opened up my first business, and it just kind of took off. And at that point, I opened up several businesses after that and just kind of really fell in love with this Northern Colorado area. So there's a lot of personal investment and financial and business investment in the area for me.
Oh, that is awesome. That's a registered nurse, entrepreneur, overall business owner. What with all of that made you grow into where you are with New York Life, I guess?
Yeah, that's kind of a very long and twisted road, which to be honest brought so much experience because one of the things I think that younger new agents have as a disadvantage is there's no life experience, right out of school and you're talking to 60-year-old people about retirement, but you're multiple lifetimes away from that, right?
Right.
So some of it just being life experience, but as a nurse, you know, we pride ourselves on just having really good assessment skills, being able to, in just a few seconds, if it's trauma medical or a little bit longer in a clinical setting, but head to toe assessment to really do a great job of knowing what the client needs. And that I think is what the difference is between a salesman and a true fiduciary. A salesman is just there to sell you something. So imagine if I came in your room and I'm your nurse and I said, Kimberly, great deal going on. You need chemo. And you're like, but I only broke my finger. And I say, no, Kimberly, you don't understand it. Chemo's on
You really
sale.
need this.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a salesman. But if you come in saying, hey, my business is kind of struggling. I'm worried about kids going to college and paying for that. And then grandma's getting older and, we're wedged between raising kids and taking care of aging parents. Interestingly enough, I have solutions for every single thing I just mentioned. So proper assessment of the individual, the family, the business, very important. And then as a business owner, that's another advantage I come in with is that when I talk to a business owner and they're like, well, you wouldn't understand about this. And I'm like, well, indulge me, just give me an idea. And they'll start talking about it and I'll start giving them some strategies. And they're like, how do you know about that? I'm like, well, I still own a business and I've owned several other businesses. And when you lump them all together, the gross income on these businesses is close to $20 million. So I've made some expensive mistakes and I've made some really good decisions. Why don't I just share all of them with you? So that's something where I understand their timeline issues, their taxes, their employees, their benefits. And that's something where our meetings can get very in depth, very, very detailed. And I love that they just keep feeding information in and we keep coming up with some great solutions. But I do love to build businesses. This is going to sound like a shameless plug, but I even wrote a book about it in 2023. I wrote a
Wow.
book called Stash to Cash, and I chronicle. I start every chapter with a big mistake. When I read books where everything's like fluffy and light and everything's going to be great, it's just not reality. We're all going to hit potholes, and so I started a business without any business classes, direction, mentorship, any of that. And now I love to be almost like a mini board of directors for young and small upcoming companies. I just want them to get to profitability faster. There's no reason to recreate the pain wheel, the
Right.
oh my God, I'm getting taxed to the ground wheel. Um, but I think that's something that's really important. I've also put on workshops in Evans, Greeley, Brush, and I love to bring in other business owners that fit that particular topic, including attorneys. So, for example, I did a workshop. We're on our fourth in a series of four coming up in November, but I brought in a Medicare specialist, a home nursing home placement specialist, as well as an attorney who spent 2 hours, drove 2 hours to spend 2 hours complimentary for my workshop attendees, you know? So
Oh,
just
that's
bringing
great.
lots of value, I think, is super important. That's something I've always liked about my very first conversation with you at Fort Collins. We were at tabletop, and you can be knowledgeable, but not really engaging. You can be knowledgeable and know people skills, but you went out of the way when I first had a conversation with you about a week later, and we were discussing some concepts for a piece of property I was buying. And you came up with some really neat ideas that to be honest, I hadn't heard before. And I love buying real estate. It's one of the things I mentioned in here. So it's not just investing in the stock market, but it's real estate. It's so
Right.
many different things. But I just love the fact that you were very personable. You bring a lot of experience to the table, and you take a very, I like to say, a very disruptive view. Just like with me with New York Life, that's one of the things that has made me successful there is I don't sell things exactly how you're supposed to because I can see behind the trees
Yeah.
and see different ways of using the same product.
Yep.
So,
Well, that is the fun part, right? I mean, with me in the
yeah.
mortgage industry as a mortgage broker, I mean, I do have all those different channels. And while I love my cookie cutter in the box, easy ones to do, I actually thrive more on the ones that I have to find a different pathway because, we're not all created equally in
Yeah.
our lives and in our careers. And, it's awesome to be able to help people in any of those realms and in any possible way that we can. If there's a will, there's a way. That's what I always like to say. But so thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I mean, that kind of rolls into the next question I was going to ask you because your edification and promotion of other businesses and business owners in the community. I mean, I've heard it from you more than once. Like you're always pitching someone. What's the rationale behind that?
I look at every individual like an initial public offering. It's worth nothing at the beginning, but it could be worth billions, right? And so there are financial advisors, financial professionals out there that won't even talk to you unless you have $2 million. I'm not that guy. Um, when I graduated college, I had some college debt. I paid all my college debt off in 13 months. I just didn't want to pay all that interest.
Oh, I
But I
agree.
look at it this way. In the 11 years post nursing school, I made millions of dollars with a business, but you know, nursing didn't do that. So I like to look at any small business. Like here's a business that I've pitched, and I think she's a wonderful person. Katie with Katie Bakes, Trevor with Altitude Rising. These are really small companies, but in the course of the year or two that I've been working with them, one of them has gone to 4 employees, and just bouncing ideas off each other. And some of them will call me, text me, late at night or early in the morning, and I love it. I tell them, "You're not bugging me." They always say, "I'm not. I don't want to bug you, but I want to call you and like, you're not bugging me. You're firing me up." I love the adrenaline of a startup. I remember walking into one of my businesses one time, and there must have been a line of 90 people out the door, and my 8 employees were just going nuts. I had my backpack on, and I looked around for a second, and then I thought, "Huh, they don't even need me anymore." And I got kind of sad. And then I smiled real quick, and I thought, "Wait a second, they haven't seen me walk in. They don't need me. I'm actually going to take a rare day off." And that's when I realized that structure that I built was working, and it was allowing me to get some of my time back.
That's
So
awesome.
I want these businesses to be successful. And the very last chapter in this book has nothing to do with money. It has to do with self-care, mental, physical, spiritual self-care. Because when you get to the finish line, are you broken? Are you broken physically, mentally, financially? Uh, or are you ready for the next chapter? Because retirement isn't a finish line, it's the start of another race. And I want my clients to divest their assets. There's a lot of advisors out there that never want you to spend your money in retirement, and that I believe is not being a true fiduciary. It should always be for the benefit of the client. I want them to spend their money. I want them to enjoy life. I want them to leave a legacy. And this is where I actually position real estate, the thing that you are helping to do. It's an incredible asset. I mean, you can buy a $700,000 property for 30,000 down, 40,000. I mean, I'm making up
Yeah.
numbers here, but then over time it appreciates. And if you rent it, you can, you know, make income and
Make it
all
cash
these
flow.
depreciations. It is an incredible asset. Is it the end all be all? No. Is gold the end all be all? No. Is the stock, there's no such thing as a perfect investment. But I think that what you do and the way you try to get people in where more of their money goes to their principal, um, like me, an agent, where I make when we make a commission, but I don't get paid by your money. I get paid from this massive general account. So when people do investments with me, it flows right into their assets. So um, I think that being very well diversified is extremely important. And that's where again, I'll get calls saying, "Hey, what about this?" And we'll spend 30, 40 minutes on the phone. And it's funny because that'll be the thing that at the end of the day, I'll think, wow, we did all this business. But that one call was the one that, like, that was for me. You know what I mean?
Yep. Well, and I think you already kind of answered a part of what my next question was going to be in that how do you invest in your clients that own businesses? And I mean, you've kind of touched on that, I think, throughout what you just mentioned, but is there anything else um, that that you want to add to that, I guess?
Yeah, I want them to understand the value of marketing. Usually that's the first thing that people cut when business is slow. I want them to connect with companies and individuals that I know well, like, and trust. Um, so just being a true resource, like I almost feel like I'm the guy in Shawshank Redemption. He's the Morgan Freeman guy, and he wants to escape from prison. So he gets him the little hammer so he can dig out, and he gets him the poster to cover the hole. And I like being the person that people call for any of their needs. I even had a gal call me and say, "Hey, my kid needs a summer job," and I was like, "Oh my God, this is awesome!" And I went to work, man. We're trying to find this kid a job because he's showing initiative, right? I mean, 15 years old, you can't let that go. You gotta support that. And so I think being a resource for any and everything is important. Not an attorney, I'm not a realtor, I'm not a mortgage broker, but I'll give them a little bit of how I've used certain things, and then I'll say, but you need to talk to this person, and
Hmm.
they'll fill you in on all the details. But I think that sounding board to see like who is a quality person that I can refer to. And yeah, I think that's extremely valuable because what I'm gonna date myself here. Back in our day, we used to open up the yellow pages, right? When's the last time
Yes.
anybody saw yellow pages?
Yeah, I don't even know if they exist anymore.
I don't think so. I remember the
That's
last time
funny.
they called me, they're like, "Hey, do you want to advertise in yellow pages?" I'm like, "Well, there's this thing called Google now, so I gotta go with the times."
Yeah. Well, where I grew up, our yellow pages was as thin as a notebook.
Oh, really? Where'd you grow
Oh
up?
yeah. Middle of nowhere, Nebraska.
Oh, no way.
It
Yeah,
was very small, but that's
yeah.
funny
I
that you
remember
say
when I
that.
was Yeah, when I was growing up in Green Valley, Arizona, I remember seeing the yellow pages for Tucson, and there was like four of them, and they were like South Tucson, North, West, and
Yeah, and
you know,
they're like,
stamped them all up.
I know, crazy, crazy. Well, I mean, I think everything that you've already said here is also kind of answering my next question to a degree, but what sets you apart from other financial professionals, especially in New York life? I mean, obviously, it sounds like you are kind of like me in the fact that you're more relationship based. You're not transactional based. Like you just don't do the deal and carry on your way. Like but I mean, just in everything else you've mentioned, I mean, you're coaching these people and you're helping them grow their business. And I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe that's truly part of your job. That's just an extra perk with you. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I love that initial meeting with my clients, and I want them to understand the basic concept of what they're purchasing. Like, let's say, for example, like a retirement vehicle or a life protection vehicle. And one of the reasons why I do that is to create a baseline so that if I were to pass away and they were to get a new agent, they would know if something's up. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
There's bad apples in every industry, and there's
Oh yeah.
people like you and me where I feel like we're like at the razor's edge. Where I like to put it this way: 10% of people in every profession, they just shouldn't be doing it. I don't care if it's a cop, a nurse, whatever, waitress, they just
Yeah.
hate their job. They shouldn't
Oh,
be.
you can tell it. You can tell those ones pretty easily.
Yeah. And then there's honestly about 80% in the middle that are kind of like they remind me of like the beginning of the Flintstones cartoon when the Fred would show up to work, he'd stick this piece of stone in and it would timestamp his time card, and
Hmm.
then he'd goof off and wreck the equipment, and at the end of the day he'd get paid and he'd get stamped. And
Yep.
with those people, I feel like they could go either way. And but mainly they're just going through life until at some point they're gone. And then I tell people all the time, if you encounter a waiter, a police officer, a nurse, an advisor, a mortgage broker, realtor that is just above and beyond, don't let them go. Like,
Hmm.
do not lose their card. And another thing is, I don't think people should keep you a secret, Kimberly. I think you're good at what you do. I think I'm good at what I do. I don't want my card to be gathering dust in their wallet. I want them to be telling people about me because
Yes.
we only can live a certain amount of time. And when I deliver policies that have my name on it, that I'm gone, let's say it's 60 years from now, and that kid is 55 years old, and it's time for that policy to deliver on the promise, that's my name on it.
Hmm.
And it has to be good. It has to be good. So, um, beyond that, helping them see the impact of their choices and the impact on the future is really important. Um, I think when people are picking a financial advisor, a financial support system, I think there's three things that people should look at. Number one is the strength of the company. Do they have the assets required to pay the death benefit, the interest, the dividends, whatever that might be? Number two, the quality of the product, because depending on how it's constructed, it may or may not deliver on that promise.
Hmm.
And the last one, number three, the quality of the agent, the quality of the broker, because that's where if it's written a certain way and you come back to your company and say, look, these people are awesome, da 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 da, and they might say like, well, that's kind of the way it's written, Kimberly, and you're like, but can we do this? And you're like, oh, actually we can.
Hmm.
That is being a true client advocate. And you're like, you're putting your own neck on the line because you know this is important and you know the company should deliver. If those three things don't line up, then I tell people look for somebody who does have those three qualities
Yes. Yep.
because you only really get one chance to do it right, especially with retirement. But also, like, imagine, some people are having coffee and they're talking about their recently purchased homes, and your client says, well, I got this. And you're like, well, that's weird because I got this and it's not as good. Well, did your agent do this? No, they didn't.
Hmm.
And they're not going to have buyer's remorse when they know that you've gone above and beyond to make sure that the quality of that package that you put together, it's or maybe it's, let's say for example, it's not the best deal possible, but you know what, it is the only deal they could get and you made their dream come true. They didn't
Yep.
like the interest rate, but they weren't getting approved anywhere else.
Yep.
And here comes Kimberly, boom, we got it done. The economy changes and suddenly they're like, oh my god, Kimberly's coming over for Christmas, because you know what I mean.
Yep. No, that is always a good feeling, that's for sure. If you could pick one thing out of your job that you do right now, what would be your favorite?
I love the discovery process, that the very first initial meeting. I kind of like consider it like a first date, and we're getting to know each other. I get them to go New York Life. They get to know me. I get to know them, their family, their extended family. Um, all I see when I see those situations is just unlimited potentiality. There's a client I had last year, have still have, but gosh, she had like 21 credit cards and all this debt and all these issues. And slowly over the course of months, setting a plan, we were able to get her moving in a right direction. Another one is that when I met the client, the wife was 6 months pregnant, and here we are 11 months later, and I got to meet this little guy, and
Oh.
to know that we're putting something together for him that is going to provide only protection, but wealth building, capability. It's just kind of neat. The second favorite part for me is when I get to deliver my book and their physical policies. That's also something else that sets me apart. Agents in our industry, New York Life included, they're not doing paper policies anymore. It's just electronic. And you mentioned something earlier that I agree with. I don't want to be transactional. I want to be relational. And there's just something about delivering that hard physical
Yeah.
policy and then going through in it with it, and they get to see what a true asset it really is,
Hmm.
how much value it's gaining, how much it's protecting is super important. So discovery the best, the end piece delivering, the ongoing. When they call me, when I call them, I'm very engaged. Your average agent that does what I do, from what I've noticed in the last 6 years interviewing clients, they tell me they haven't talked to their advisor in 6 years.
Wow.
That's criminal in my opinion. I
Yeah.
believe that a financial plan is expired every 6 months because life is changing that fast. You could be in a car accident, you could have a health issue, you could inherit $3 million from grandma, you could have an accident settlement, you could be selling a business and be sitting on a big pot of money that you're about to be taxed on. But if I talk to you in time, we can greatly reduce the taxes.
Hmm.
So yeah, that my favorite part is just the initial getting to know them for sure.
Well, yeah, and I think that a lot of people, speaking of like an inheritance, for example, that's not the first thing that pops into their head is, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I need to call Anthony and see what I should do with this. They're just overly excited, and then time goes on, and you kind of forget, oh, I didn't do anything with this.
Yeah.
Now, now what? So no, that's great. That is great. And we've known each other for I don't even remember how long ago we met at networking event, but
Yeah.
um, I see on your various platforms, and I hear about it too when we do get to meet up, that you have achieved some amazing recognition in your industry. Can you tell us just a little bit about that?
Yeah. First off, I like to edify my partners as well. So I have a development manager, Mark, at our office that is incredible. I always like to say that anything that people like about what I've done, number one, like God put me in a good spot, so I love that. But He put some good people around me and pushed me. So that's been very very good. But in my I've only been with the company 2 years and 2 months. And in
Wow,
that time, I've made executive council last year, which, if you Google that, only 7% of agents in the whole nation never get there. But I did that in year two.
that's awesome.
I'm currently pro rata for council or president's council. And I believe that's only 3% or 1% of the industry. Uh, so I'm hoping that we can get there. I was agent of the month with New York Life for 7 months out of those 24 months. I was the income disability agent of the year uh, in 2024. And in my first 6 months, I made something called a career conference where they sent me off to Dallas for a bunch of in-depth training. So I really love the fact that with New York Life, you see the investment in the agents in the form of education and continuing education, whereas a lot of other financial firms, you have to ask yourself this question. When you see the words Empower Field or some other financial company on the side of a stadium, that tells you where the money's going. And so I like that in 172 years, New York Life has not missed a dividend payment. I like working with a company that invests in us, the agents. But I definitely want to push off any of those accolades to all the people that supported me. Uh, my first 3 months in the business, I mean, I was studying for exams and working and gave up a whole summer just to commit to being as good as I could with this. But yeah, it's been fun. But to be honest, I love working with my clients so much that that's just kind of like the icing on the cake. It's never the goal. It's just part of hopefully doing good business with people.
No, that's awesome. I love that. What kind of exciting projects do you have coming up in the next year or two? Or do you
Oh
guys
yes.
pre-plan like that?
Yeah, to be honest, I love where you're going with this. Ever since I was a little kid, I'm a planner. Like I'll plan out 2 year, 5 year, 10 year, 20 year chunks of time. And when I look back on those, some of those, and even with New York Life, I've exceeded my 3 year goals in one year, or with my very first business, we met our 5-year goal in month 6, which was crazy considering I
Wow.
was doing nursing Monday through Friday and then this other company only on the weekends. But I'm currently licensed in 7 states. I'm going to be expanding that out. And so currently in Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona, Utah, California, Oregon, Wyoming, I believe. But another thing I'd love to start doing is collaborating more with quality agents. Um, I feel like I'm getting enough of that interaction that they can see the value in what I'm doing as a new agent, the energy I bring to it, the connections, and then I'm obviously learning from that is from their experience. And then another thing I've always loved the teaching part. I feel that anybody in any industry, if they have the they have an educator style, like a teacher kind of a style. They want to,
Mhm.
educate their clients. They always do the best because, the thing that you buy that you understand, you have less buyer's remorse. So I want to mentor some key agents in other offices that I think that are doing some neat stuff that we can build a really good relationship with and bring a lot of value to the clients. And then also, you know, to have something if something were to happen to me, this agent is already interacting with the client and it's just a fluid, transition.
That's very cool. I love to hear that. Well, I won't keep you too much longer today, but I do this with everybody, so I'm gonna put you on the spot with it as well.
All right.
Outside of work, outside of the office, what's something that someone maybe doesn't or wouldn't know about you, or something that you enjoy doing?
Wow, there's a couple of funny things. I went to Nepal on a medical mission for a month in 2017. For the people that watch a lot of TV shows, I was on a bunch of reality TV shows. History Channel's Top Shot season one. I competed against Navy SEALs, special warfare operators on a one-man army on Discovery and actually won that. I was, by the way, double their age and had no military experience. And then I did a bunch of TV commercials for different manufacturers. When I was 14, I designed billboards. Here's a funny one. I actually used to play trumpet for a rock star named Linda Ronstadt back in the early 80s. I think it was like 14.
No way.
Um, but I just love knowing that at some point this ride's going to end for me. And I don't want to be in a nursing home with a perfectly pristine, undamaged body. I know that in the process of living, I want to use it up. And trust me, at my age now, I'm starting to feel the damage, right? But I just and that's why I get really excited when I see you off on world travel adventures and really enjoying time with family. And once you start traveling, I think you'd agree, the world just seems smaller. Everything seems to ride at a different pace.
No, it totally
And
does.
it's also the thing that I like to encourage my clients. When you retire, if you don't already have it, get mission and get purpose. Otherwise, you're going to die pretty soon. And you want to make sure you put all that effort in mentorship and having fun, volunteering. It all pays off.
No, I love that. That is awesome. Well, I thank you so much for your time today. I very much appreciate it, and I will, I'm sure, see you soon. We
Sounds
seem to
good.
run
Thank
across
you
each
very
other.
much. Thanks for providing this platform for businesses. I think it's awesome. And I would highly encourage anybody that's having issues with funding or even just want to work with somebody that can educate them from top to bottom. Definitely give Kim a call. She's very receptive. Sometimes I'll call brokers and I can't get a hold of them for days. And I don't think I've ever waited more than 30 minutes to get a text or a call back from Kim. So definitely reach out to her.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I do my
Awesome.
best. I don't like people hanging, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll catch you guys all next time. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. Have a great day. Bye bye.